Mr. Gary Lennon. How are you today?
Good, Tammy. How you doing?
I'm amazing. I'm with We Empower Magazine. I've interviewed tons of the cast and creative team, and I was so hyped to interview you today, Gary.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on all your success. I love Power Book for Forced. Let's dive right into it. As a showrunner, as well as executive producer and writer, how do you ensure the best creative process with the actors, with the fellow writers, with the directors? What is your creative process like, Gary?
I'm coming into a new season of a show. What I do is I have a very similar process, which is I think it's really important to come into the room with a vision, right? Because I don't think you get a vision of a show from like 6 to 8 people. You get a vision of a show from one person who has a really clear idea of what they want. And so what I usually do is come into the writer's room with my spiral notebook, and I have ideas about where I think the arcs of the characters go for the season. And then I open it up to the room and talk to them of like, what was your favorite moments last season? What would you want to build upon? What are scenes that you would love to see happen? Which characters would you love to intersect? And then it's my job as the showrunner to go around and pick out the things. Like, for example, like I always equated of like doing a road trip from like New York to LA or LA to New York. Like I know I'm going to New York. When I start a season, I always know where I want to end. Like I know the ending and I know where I'm beginning. I just don't know how I'm going to get there. So I'm like, okay, so do we start off in LA? Do we go to Vegas and then up into Wyoming? Or do we go down south? Do we start through to Arizona, go into Texas? And then you start putting those roadmaps up on a board, and that will take us through. Now, that's also including conversations with the actors. I love talking to all the actors and say, what was your favorite scene this year? What is something that you feel that we haven't revealed about the character that would be important to you? And I listen to all of it. Of course, you can't do everything and you can't use everything, but there are germs, there are things that will pop to you and you go, ooh, I really love that. I want to use that. And so I'm sort of like the collector of good ideas. And like if you think of a strainer that strains spaghetti, like you pour the spaghetti with the water in, and then the spaghetti stays and the water goes out. It's my job to make sure that the spaghetti is good. You know what I mean? And
Love that.
yeah, and so that's how I start the season, and then I bring other people into my process. Obviously the studio, I have to go to the studio and the network and tell them what my plan is. They will weigh in. They'll be like, I don't think this person should die, or I would like to have this more. Or, they have their own notes and they're very collaborative. And then I bring in my design team, somebody who I worked with closely this season that I really love and I think made the show better out of our conversations is our DP, our director of photography, Jody Williams. We wanted to shoot Chicago and make it really gritty and very street but yet beautiful at the same time. And he got in there with his team, Seth and Josh, A camera operator and B camera operator, and my production designer Chase, and costumes on Monique, and my producing director Lisa Domain. And we just all, you sit in a room and you just like, it's important that you articulate your vision, because if you don't articulate it well as a showrunner, people can't do their jobs. But that's my process of bringing a new season to life.
Thank you, Gary. Now, I understand that you're a writer on one of the upcoming episodes, episode 210. And without giving too much away because it's not aired yet, what should audiences brace themselves for?
I think they should brace them for unexpected endings, and consequences of actions that you wouldn't have imagined. I think people are going to wind up in situations where you wouldn't have imagined them having wind up. And we're going to see Tommy be the good old smart Tommy, get what he wants, but it will come at a price.
Yeah, definitely will come at a price. What would you like to say to fans that tune in each season, each week? What would you like to say to supporters who absolutely love this series?
Really, honestly, I want to say thank you so much, because honestly, it's the fans that have generated. If the fans didn't show up for the original OG Power, there'd be no spinoffs. There'd be no Tommy Egan show. There'd be no Raising Kanan show. There'd be no Ghost show. So honestly, 1000% love to the people who showed up and told Stars and Lionsgate this show is a hit. I love it. I want to see more of it. And they did. And they're so connected to the characters, so dialed in. So what I would say is, personally, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to write this show and run this show for as long as I have. I love the characters probably as much as you do. I love getting underneath their skin and into their stories, I'm sure as much as you do. And I want to thank you, the fans, for giving me the opportunity to continue telling these stories and playing with this group of people that I now call a family.
Thank you so much, Gary. You answered a lot of my questions. You are awesome. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much for what you're putting out into the entertainment industry. Thank you for your
Thank you.
time and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Tammy. I appreciate it.